And welcome back, guys, to another episode of Katawa Shoujo. In the last part, we sent Lily off, and we ended Act 2. She went, I think, did she actually go back to Scotland? I'm fairly sure she did. Apparently, I think, if I remember correctly, one of her aunts is really, really sick. So, we are dealing with Shizune and Misha, as per usual, in our classroom, and yeah, we're probably doing bad things. Shizune's cold stare, after Misha happily signs the words, stops me in my tracks. In hindsight, I really could have worded that better. Out of the corner of my eye, I'm sure I see Hanako move back, just a little. Thankfully, Shizune notices this and lets her temper dissipate as she forcefully runs her hands through her hair to let off steam. Perfectly on cue, Misha begins interpreting the second Shizune's arm begins to move.
I would say that such matters aren't relevant to you, but since you seem to have befriended Lily...
She pauses to adjust her glasses, evidently attempting to articulate her point in the best possible manner.
While I assume the same of her, I cannot call my own views on the matter unbiased. Suffice it to say...
Hearing suffice to say coming from Misha sounds so weird.
Suffice to say, we were closer before than we are now.
Shizune makes a quick gesture to Misha to stop her from interpreting, then has a quick meeting with her before proceeding. The fact the two can communicate so easily yet so secretly right in front of us is slightly disconcerting. Hanako seems to share my curiosity at the proceedings, looking on with thinly masked interest. As they finish their opaque conversation, Misha looks slightly defeated. I guess her opinion on the matter wasn't followed.
Shi-chan says you should ask Lily about it, as she doesn't want to be the one that gets you involved.
Ah, well, I'll just have to ask her after she gets back. At least I got some information out of Shizune. The two having been on close terms means that they weren't always at each other's throats, or at least not quite to this extent. I understand. Thanks anyway. With a nod and a farewell, the two break away and walk out the door, no doubt headed straight to the student council room. Could have gone worse, I suppose. Hanako lets out a long breath, relieved at the confrontation's resolution. I can't say I blame her.
I'll see you later, then.
Yeah, I'll meet you in the tea room. See ya. With that, she waves and joins the trickle of students leaving the classroom.
Akai, could I speak with you for a moment?
Delivered in his typical monotone manner, he apparently decided that I needed a reminder to see him already. Eventually, I finished packing up my things. By the time I reach his desk, the classroom is close to empty. Yes, sir? He looks up, taking measure of my face before giving an awkward, rather obviously acted chuckle.
No need to feel guilty. You're not in any trouble. I just want to ask you something. I've asked a few of the other students so far.
That's something, at least. For a moment, I thought my maxim of keeping my head down and pen up had failed me. So, what did you want to talk about?
To start with, what do you think of your progress in this school so far? Good? Bad?
I detest that kind of question. For a fair amount of time, I try to think of a response that is neither pathetically humble nor cocky. I'd say I'm doing okay. The work doesn't seem too hard, and I'm doing better on tests than I thought I would.
That's a good answer. A correct one, too.
I give a mental sigh of relief at his satisfaction. To say that I don't gain a little pride from his comment would be a blatant lie. In the maelstrom of thoughts clouding my mind after learning that I'd be transferring to Miyaku, my school grades seem utterly unimportant. Being entirely clueless as to what skill level would be assumed of me, once I actually got here, I was hugely relieved when I found out that I understood well enough the schoolwork we'd be doing.
I know your circumstances might have thrown a wrench in the works, that you have given any thought to your future.
My future?
What you'd like to do as a profession? Do you have any thoughts of where you'd like to be in 10 or 20 years' time? I wouldn't be surprised if you covered this ground in your previous school, but I don't have any record of it if you have.
I suppose the last year of high school is the time when students who need to think about such things. To be honest, I really haven't lent it much thought compared to my immediate situation. Catching on to my thinking, Muto speaks up.
It's okay if you haven't decided on anything specific yet. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of your classmates were still undecided after all. Maybe pursue one of your talents.
He's rather obviously trying to squeeze an answer out of me, and something about his previous wording makes me suspicious. He didn't seem to be intent on asking everyone like this, so he must have some kind of selection criteria. I'd a guess our grades in his class. Well, something in the sciences might be the path. It might be the path of least resistance. Something in science, yeah. His face brightens, no doubt pleased at the thought of a prize student following his subject as a career path.
Good. Having a general idea is the first step. I would advise you to think on it, though.
I will. Things are kind of settling down, which will help.
Good to hear. Oh, I have noticed that Ikazawa's attendance and grades have improved since you came to be friends. I'd like to thank you for that.
Oh yeah, Hanako. Yeah, like in a strange way, we've been helping socialize her in a strange way, or maybe because we've been hanging out with Lily more, she's sort of more confident to do things independently. So she's sort of like branching out in a sense. You know, so it's like she actually cracked down on her schooling, and then we were able to help her with Lily. Sort of get her out of her shell in sort of like a passive way. Yeah, you don't really put very much thought into what, like, the other characters are sort of going through as you're going down the path of a set girl, for example, right? So yeah, no, like, this actually is a benefit for Hanako. Very much so. I mean, it could have gone the complete other way, right? She could have become a mess without Lily's constant thing. But I think that's the crux of it all, really, is that, like, when we were talking about it with her before, that a lot of people look up to her and see her as the responsible one and everything like that. Just to see that the fruit of her labor is allowing people to be more independent and not as reliant upon her, so she can, in essence, rely on other people too, right? That, yeah, it's an interesting notion to just sort of piece together after all this, and it only comes about when she's no longer in the picture for, you know, I don't know how long they said she was going to be away, but yeah, no, you just, when that thing that you are most reliant on leaves, there's usually two paths that you go down, and hopefully you go down the right path and you're able to push forward with it. But not to say there really is anything wrong with, you know, having that one thing that sort of helps you through things. Like my cat, Kaluna, she's helped me through tons of things. Is she a burden? Well, you could make that justification, but that reliance upon, you know, human and cat and, you know, owner and pet is important for both of us in a sense, right? So it's sort of symbiotic in a way. But I got weird and philosophical there, so let's continue on. I'm surprised you noticed we knew each other. He gives a chuckle as awkward as his smile. This guy really has no idea how to properly act around others. Every facial movement seems like an act of careful but misdirected choreography.
You could say that having a general idea of who knows who is part of a teacher's job.
Catching himself before he goes off on a tangent, he loudly coughs into his hand.
I'm sure you have things to do, though, so I'll stop there. Please do think about where you're heading from here, as you don't have long to go before you finish high school.
I will. Thanks. The brief talk ended. I take my leave. He goes back to fussing with the teaching materials on his desk. This is one of the times I'm envious of Lily, almost maddeningly so. To have one's future so clear and so assured, yet working towards it from such a young age. It's an idea so utterly inconcilable about my own thoughts, mired in the present day, just as they've always been. Yeah, because she's always thought about teaching English and stuff like that for visually impaired students. But I want to ask the question, is that something that she actually wants to do, or the fact that she is maybe being forced down that type of career path, right? Like, there's always that sense, because she seems to come from a very, like, upper class family, and they have quote unquote responsibilities and everything like that. Like, maybe even from this trip, she may come back and has been told she can't follow her dream. She has to, like, run the company or something like that, you know, in her wake, or she needs to take over her aunt's business or something. And it sort of just shatters her dreams. Like, I feel terrible because we've been talking about things being daijobu, and we need to not have them to be daijobu, because that's usually what happens, right? Because, like, we talked about the past in the last act, and now this act is called present. So, like, yeah, things that happen within the present can alter things drastically and very, very dramatically, even though once we actually dissect it, and it does become past, even if, like, it's regular past. Like, I know I say regular past, but more along the lines of, how would I put this? It's like near past, like things that maybe happened 2 or 3 months ago, not like the distant past where it's like, oh yeah, no, 15 years ago. Walking through the lobby to the cafeteria, I slightly rue my daily routine, having been completely thrown off. It had seemed like a normal day. I arrived in class before most due to waking early, and having become quite adept at chunking down my pills without choking as I get ready for the day. But as students trickle in, one never materialized. Hanako. I stepped inside, my eyes scanning the expanse of the cafeteria in search of a suitable place to take a seat. It's a task made more difficult by the groups of students moving about and busily talking. Ugh. A hand pounds my back hard a couple of times, severely winding me. I couldn't care less about the culprit as I focused my thoughts on my chest and the near automatic reaction. Yeah, like, wow, yeah, that's actually really bad. You really shouldn't startle him, like, at all. My hand instinctively tightens on my breast, and I start going through the steps I had rehearsed in my mind every other day. Breathe steadily, in and out. With a measure of relief, I can slowly feel my chest becoming less tense. By the time I look back up, my face is covered in sweat from the experience. Ah, fucking Kenji. God damn it. I was like, who doesn't know about my heart condition? I'm fairly sure Kenji does, but at the same time, he probably wouldn't remember otherwise.
Hey, man, are you okay?
God damn it! Don't do that, you idiot! He retreats back, an expression of unease written on his face. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have barked at him, considering he has no way to know. I give a sigh and right myself with some difficulty. Yeah, I'm fairly sure Kenji actually doesn't know. We've never actually told him about our problem. He's never even inquired about it. Sorry, I just have some chest problems. Sharp knocks aren't good. It seems strange to see him. It seems strange to see him so upset. The fact that I can't do anything about it irritates me. Let's get lunch.
Okay. It's good to have some company for once.
We start off to the serving line. One good thing is that Kenji and I can make small talk nowadays, as opposed to my only interactions with him being anti-feminist lectures. Seems like it's be hard to find an empty table.
There's a few people I wouldn't mind sitting with. Nobody's like you, though.
I feel a shiver run through my spine. Clarify that. Now. I mean, the last time he got really close to us and we fell off a roof. In an alternate timeline.
They don't listen. Their minds are closed. It's the media, man. The goddamn brainwashing mainstream feminist fascist media.
He takes a breath and I savor the second of silence.
Damn, they control everything. Everything but you and me.
I relax a little while we grab our food and drink.
So, what do you got for me?
Huh?
Come on, you've been hanging around Satao. Or Sato.
Some people say that I've been saying it wrong. It's not Satao, it's Sato? Or Sateo or whatever. I'm sorry if I've been saying it wrong. Sato? Is it Toe or is it Tao? I'm fairly sure I always thought it was Tao, T-O-U, but if it is Sato, I'm very sorry. And that other
chick for ages now. Rumors are all over my class, and probably some of the others too.
eavesdropping isn't a good habit.
Let me guess, you never do it. Not even when you're bored. Really?
Are we going down this path? We're going down this path. Okay, we're going down this path. Well, fine. Point taken. Both of us stop to have soup ladled into a bowl of small bowls and placed onto our trays. The concoction that lands into the bowl looks pretty questionable, but at least it smells reasonably good. I actually haven't been to the cafeteria in quite a while. I think the last time was when we were looking for Lily with Hanako, like way back in Act 1. As we take our seats at our miraculously free table, I try to think of something that would actually interest him at all. I hope I can come up with an acceptable topic. I found an answer to that question you asked a couple weeks back, where Lily's non-Japanese half comes from. That is.
Good, man. It's Russian, right? Totally Russian.
Scotland. He's visibly stopped in his tracks.
Scotland?
Yeah, that was my reaction too. She can speak English fluently and everything.
Damn it! Do you realize what this means? How terrifying this news is to me?
I think he's hyperventilating. Passing out for a little while would probably make him more relaxed than he normally is. Humor him or ignore his ramblings? Okay, this is a trick. This is a trick. And the only reason why I call this a trick is because we really haven't been hanging out with Kenji. Right? And the thing is if we humor him for in just this one instance, if we humor him, it's actually going to propel Hisao into self-doubt. I know this is a trick. I've seen this type of shit before. I know it sounds terrible because I'm overindulging this idea, but like normally you would humor your friends like weird ramblings, right? But because this is specifically about Lily, I don't want to plant a seed of doubt in his head abruptly. So it's like completely like he'll overblow it. It has nothing to do with it. So I can't humor Kenji. As much as you guys may want me to, I can't. That's a trick. That is such a trick. I see what you're doing, game. I'm just going to ignore you. I dig into my food, hoping he'll take the hint from my silence.
I just lost 1,000 yen, man. 1,000 yen. Damn, this is the worst day ever.
No such luck. Or I guess Hisao will just humor him anyway, so it doesn't really matter what I picked. You're kidding me. You made a bet about her nationality?
One of the dudes in my class was bugging me about it. Gave him some of my wisdom, and he had the audacity to say my logic was wrong.
So, what did he think?
German or something. It doesn't matter. What matters is my 1,000 yen. Damn it!
Sorry, damn it. Trust me, I voiced Inuyasha in my British series, and I use damn it like a lot as him, so whenever I see damn, I just like finish it.
Damn, this day is ruined thanks to her. What a bitch.
Whoa, Kenji. That's a mean... He looks utterly devastated as he wolfs down several clumps of his soggy, soy-soaked rice. It only takes a few mouthfuls before he pokes his chopsticks at me, stabbing the air repeatedly in revelation.
Why?
Didn't your mother ever tell you not to speak with your mouth full? He gives me a dirty look before choking down the rest of the food left in his mouth and takes a gulp of juice. It's rather unsightly. Remembering my own food sitting in front of me, I decide to get back to the task of eating the cafeteria's food over and done with as fast as possible. The sooner I do so, the sooner the experience will be over.
So as I was saying, why would anyone want to live in that place anyway? I mean, what is there to see? Grassy plains. That's it. Lots and lots of grassy plains. And men in kilts.
I'm not sure which is worse, this food or his worldview. I can feel my face being dragged down by their combined weight. Not that he'd notice or care. I guess, like, one thing that Hisao is doing instead is he's not buying into it, right? He's just sort of like, oh my god, why do I even bother? You know, like, and he is actually ignoring his insane ramblings. So I was about to say, I'm like, was that like just a weird thing that to make me think you were doing something, video game? Because I don't like when video games do that. And they hit you with expectations. But regardless, I think we'll finish this conversation tomorrow. So take care, guys, and stay frosty.